So on the same night that the House voted to expel Marjorie Taylor Greene from her committee assignments, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she organized a time for members of Congress to share their stories from that day, January 6th. And part of what she said was this, according to ABC News. 29 days ago, our nation's capital was attacked. That's the big story. And in that big story resides thousands of individual accounts, just as valid and important as the other. Tonight, for this special order, we will begin to hear and commit to the congressional record just some of those many stories, she said. So we hear about some of these things like, we know AOC went on, I think it was Instagram Live, and spoke about what she's been through, the way she felt and reasons why she felt that way. And it's ended with all of the horrific things that have been said to her since. Not completely, but to a degree. So I don't want to focus on just the negative. So she's opening the floor for others to speak that maybe wouldn't have had the chance to or the forum to do so. So let's start with what Cori Bush had to say once she had a chance to speak.
So I remember sitting in the office with my team and just thinking to myself, I feel like I'm back. At this very minute, I feel like I'm back. I feel like this was one of the days out there on the streets when the white supremacists would show up and start shooting at us. This is one of the days when the police would ambush us from behind trees and from behind buildings, and all of a sudden now we're on the ground being brutalized. It felt like one of those days, and I just remember taking a second thinking, if they touch these doors, if they hit these doors the way they hit that door, if they hit these doors and come anywhere near my staff, and I'm just gonna be real honest about it. My thought process was, we banging to the end. I'm not letting them take out my people, and you're not taking me out. We've come too far.
So Cori Bush, new Congress person in the House now. So this is what I was hoping to see more of, because this is the reality of the way people really speak and people's real experiences in this country. And we didn't get much representation of the way people feel and what brings forward these other things. So you'll get feelings of anger, pain, disgust, fear, sadness. All this can happen, and it's an opportunity for us to actually hear and see the way things are said and done by real people who happen to represent us now, instead of folks that are robotically there to look a certain way and act a certain way and act like we're the only ones who are thinking and feeling things. I love this part. Before we go to some more of it, do you guys have thoughts about her first video?
As much as you don't want anyone to go through those situations and those circumstances, you do get to see that other layer of themselves. And you really get to see also individuals' characters. And clearly, Cori Bush here is letting you know she's a fighter. She was ready, and that she was gonna go down if she's gonna go down, and she's gonna go down swinging. And that should actually inform a lot of her constituents, the fact that she will fight for you at the heart of things. The moment things get difficult and tough, she will stand up. But it's also a very scary and terrorizing experience. The fact that you have to go through that moment of wondering, will I ever see my family again? Will I ever have that opportunity next week? And that is a terror that I would not wish upon anyone.
Yeah, here's my comment on her speech. Told you. I told you she'd be the most real person in Congress. She is. I don't know any other Congressperson who says if they came through that door, they weren't coming for us. We were coming for them. And and that's basically what she said. And we would have been ready for the fight. And that's a hell of a speech to give. And I love it because usually Democrats ask for apologies and et cetera. But here she is saying like, you better watch yourself. And she explained, we're going to show you more parts of the clip, but as she explained, she's been in hundreds of protests and she's been thrown down on the ground by cops and by others. She's been targeted. She's had her life threatened. This is not new for Cori Bush. So you're messing with the wrong person.
Yeah, we got some fighters now. I do want to skip forward to the third clip here really fast. But Cori Bush did go on to actually try to inspire her colleagues to come and join the fight to actually defend the Constitution with her. So it's not just about me, and it's how I felt, and it's the way many people who are like me feel. But you guys need to join us too, because this isn't a solo thing. If we can get on board to figure these things out, we can be a better country. But let's go to Rashida Tlaib, some of her testimony about how she felt from that day.
This is so hard because, as many of my colleagues know, my closest colleagues know, on my very first day of orientation, I got my first death threat. It was a serious one. They took me aside. The FBI had to go to the gentleman's home. I didn't even get sworn in yet, and someone wanted me dead for just existing. More came later, uglier, more violent. One celebrating and writing the New Zealand massacre and hoping that more would come. Another mentioning my dear son, Adam. Mentioning him by name. Each one paralyzed me each time. So what happened on January 6th, all I could do was thank Allah that I wasn't here. I felt overwhelming relief. And I feel bad for Alexandria, so many of my colleagues that were here. But as I saw it, I thought to myself, thank God I'm not there. I saw the images that they didn't get to see until later.
Just pay attention to the words. I'm gonna me myself. I'm gonna start here. Stop paying attention to the people who will say horrible things. Pay attention to the words and the feelings that came from people that actually experienced it. And she wasn't there, but still has that because she cares about her colleagues.
I like that she said, "Thank Allah that I wasn't here," because again, it's the right attitude. Okay, she's Muslim, and that's the Arabic word for God. And so she's, you want to give her death threats for being Muslim, she's going to thank Allah right in front of you, okay? And so, look, I've received thousands of physical threats throughout the years. I stopped counting, so I don't know how high it goes, and certainly plenty of death threats. But when he gets super specific and talks about they know where you live and all that stuff, and gets in your family, that look, they do it like with impunity, that there are, and they think there are no consequences because they feel entitled to commit violence upon you. And by the way, threatening someone's life or well-being, or threatening to hurt them in any way is also a crime. It's also assault. And so we never pursue it because there's too many right-wingers who threaten too much violence on too many people, and it's nonstop. It's an avalanche of threat and violence. But at some point, we got to draw the line and say enough is enough. Okay, you threaten that violence, and certainly if you commit it, there's got to be very severe consequences.
And something also that really resonated me with that clip and watching her cry and how difficult and challenging it was. It's like, I've been through situations where you have death threats, where people are coming after you. And the horrible thought I had is when she gets them again 6 months from now, how it's probably gonna roll off her back. And it's unfortunate because people shouldn't have to go through this. You don't want people to get to that level of hardness or that level of, yeah, come get me. But the reality is that this is where we are. And a lot of us are experiencing this, and it does make you harder and it does make you a bit colder. And that's not a place where we should want our fellow human beings to be, because we all should be able to have that humanity and to live without feeling that fear of threat or to have that hardness to be able to continue to do your job.
Yeah, well, Adrienne, that's such a great point because it rolls off my back. I mean, people say the most horrific things about how they're gonna, attack me, hurt me, etc. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday. And so we shouldn't get used to that. There should be legal ramifications, not for your speech, not for your political opinions. I don't care how crazy they are. No, I'm gonna defend freedom of speech no matter what. But threatening violence is an actual crime. You are not allowed to do that. It is against the law. And the reason I want legal action taken is because if we don't have legal action taken and one group keeps constantly violently attacking another group, at some point the other group's gonna go, well, enough of that, okay? And you're gonna F around and you're gonna find out. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. Look, the other day they blocked, right-wing protesters blocked people from getting the vaccine at Dodger Stadium in LA. One of these days they're gonna find out, and I don't want that to happen because then things devolve. and it devolves for everybody, and everybody gets hurt on all sides. So that's why we're asking law enforcement, for God's sake, can you actually do your job? And when people are threatened, you follow up on that and you prosecute people for crimes.
And let's think about that. The targeting of a lot of times women in these positions makes it easier for these types of cowards to feel like they can carry it out. Yeah, Cenk, you get lots of death threats and everything, but sometimes maybe people may see you and then go, man, he's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they glance at a woman, they're like, hey, this is easy. I don't care what it is. She's definitely smaller than me. And there's this thought that they can go after them. So when you keep seeing women come forward and talking about it and feeling the way they feel about these threats consistently coming for them and their kids, you go, oh, but it's always women. Democrats pushing out women to go ahead and lie for them. Or maybe it's the people who are threatening death on these folks always targeting women. Which one could it be? Because there's a plan to just put women out here to lie in front of us to make us look a certain way. Or maybe it's you're so deplorable that you're looking to target women because that's an easy route because you're cowards. Criminals always try to look for an easy way to commit a crime. They don't want to break into a house when people are there. They want to break in when you're gone, so they don't have to have any kind of resistance. So they feel it's a little easier to attack women. That's why they're targeting these folks.
Yeah, look, yeah. So first of all, no one can stop a bullet. So don't ever engage. And there's, that's why this is all so dangerous. That's why law enforcement has to do their job and maintain rule of law. Now, having said that, Jayar is right. Bullies, it's easier for them to target women, etc. Alex Jones came onto our set. He stepped up, and the minute I stepped up, yeah, he slinked away, right? And that's how it happens. And I've faced bullies 1,000 times in my life, and I guarantee you, when it gets rough, they back down and they run away. Because the reason they're bullies is because they're insecure, because they're weak at their very core. Their weakness defines them. But again, nothing can stop a bullet. That's why law enforcement's got to do its job and make sure that none of this gets into physical or physicality or violence in any way, shape, or form from any side. But I love the strength and the courage of Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush. Watch all of Cori Bush's speech. It was amazing.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.